I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you guys, thanks for coming, for joining us for our board meeting here. Get settled in. We will get item number 2. And I would ask for any deletions or additions to the agenda.
Madam Chairman, there are actually a couple of additions to the agenda this evening. We'll work them up individually here. The first is approval motion to move into executive session to discuss personnel and negotiations as new business item number 1.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to move new business number 1 to executive session. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you guys have it. The motion passes to approve to move into executive session as item number 1.
Yes, ma'am. Also, there is another addition. Need the approval for the school attorney to investigate and revive a real estate contract for the sale of the old Chugwater School, to remove Plat 2 from the 3rd lot and DDD Plat 1, and that lot contract, there's gonna be some timeline changes in that, and that probably needs to be item number 12 under new business.
I'll second that.
All right. A motion and a second on the floor to approve the school attorney to work on a real estate contract. Any discussion on that?
Explain that a little bit. So with the title company and the attorney on their side, they found kind of an issue with lot number 3. It wasn't listed in our contract, but the building actually sits on lot number 3, and there's a house also on that lot. So when they investigated, there was a mistake and they had it as Plat 2. So we need to change it to Plat 1, and then we need to change that 3rd lot to the contract also. And we just think that would be best to have our attorney do that, because it's gonna change that contract, and then it's also gonna change the dates of when we close. So just a mistake on somebody's end, probably a long time ago. Is that about right, Jamie?
That's what I can gather from the title company.
That's it in a nutshell.
Some of our insurance battle it out.
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion, any further discussion or questions on the motion to add item 12 to approve the school attorney for our real estate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? You guys have it. We will add item 12. All right. And with those additions, we'll move to the approval of the agenda with the additional bills.
Madam Chair, I vote for the approval of the agenda with additional bills.
I would like to second that, please.
All right, thank you, Saracen. So a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the additional bills. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passed. Okay. Next, good things happening. And we'll remind everybody on the website of the monthly good news, or the link in our agenda for the monthly good news, that they're doing a really good job keeping that updated. Look at those kids.
Our pellets are fun.
Cool. Okay, and then we'll move on to item B. Do you want me to call him up?
Yeah, Josh, come up if you want to. Give a couple of donations.
Good evening. I just wanted to report on a couple of donations that we received kind of outside of our fundraising process. Simply Creative donated $240 for our lunch fund. So we kind of took a look at our kiddos and the amounts owed and kind of divided that up to get to that $240. So taking care of some of those unpaid balances.
Nice.
The second one was from Jackie Witt. Her and her husband are new to the Wheatland area. They just moved here from Florida. And they donated $300 to the boys basketball team. They helped unload their U-Haul. I guess they had it unloaded in about an hour, so it saved them quite a bit of time and headache trying to get that done by themselves. So just wanted to report on those and sent thank you notes already. And the Wits actually stopped by the school, so we were able to thank them in person, but we see Gina a lot, so I did send her a note as well.
Thank you, sir.
Good news. Alright, so we'll move on to correspondence. And just wanted to share with everyone a letter that we received from the Department of Revenue the end of January. That just says the Wyoming Department of Revenue has reviewed the district documentation. Based on this review, the documents on file and pursuant to the reporting requirements outlined in blah, blah, blah. The department has determined that the district is compliant for the tax year noted below, so just, we're in good standing with the Department of Revenue. Just wanted to share that. Always good. Alright, next, visitor comments. We had none, okay. Alright. The consent agenda with the minutes, claims, and donations. What would the board like to do with those?
Well, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mrs. Hoffman.
I would second that.
And Mr. Kafka. A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion on anything in our packet? No? Alright. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? You guys have it. Alright, information items. We'll start with the superintendent's report. Mr. Weigel?
Yeah, first I'm gonna have Jamie come and go through some financial information for everybody.
Great, thank you. Members of the board, tonight, my presentation is focusing around the activity side of things. Give Heather just a second, she can, can you click on that link?
It does not give me access to the link. It says you don't have access.
We've got it on it, well, they will be able to see.
Yeah, I was just gonna, so the audience can see it.
Okay, whoever owns it just got a request.
Do you own it? I can give you access. Oh, okay. Okay.
I have the agenda, I don't have your financial report, that's what I'm saying.
No, I just shared it.
It's in the board shared file, Ryan, under this meeting.
I linked it to the agenda too.
Okay, there we go, I got it, thank you, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so we're gonna, as I stated, we're gonna talk about the activities inside the general fund. So what about activities? What counts? So everything from coaches to officials, travel, and when I say travel, I'm not talking about transportation and I'm not talking about the cost of diesel. What I'm talking about with travel is their hotels, if they make it to a state culminating event, the food that we provide when they're at those events. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about travel. The supplies and equipment. So what is offered? We have various amounts of activities that I can't list them all in that tiny little box. So everything from volleyball, drama, golf, softball, FFA, music, there's so many. What schools does this affect? Every school. Glendale Middle School, Libby Elementary, West Elementary, Wheatland Middle School, and Wheatland High School. Go ahead and scroll down. So the budget approved. The whole budget that we approved for the general fund was $18,548,538. Of that, we appropriated $465,958.50 for activities. This does not include the transportation costs, like I had previously stated, this is only including the coaches, officials, travel, all of that. So the categoric breakdown in the 100 series, which is gonna be your salaries, is $279,970.64. Your benefits that go along with that is $71,463.86. Then your 300s are gonna be your purchase services, so your officials that we pay to come and officiate our games is an example of what would be paid out of that category. 400 is gonna be your supplies, so anything from new softballs to some uniforms, all those things. 500, we don't have any piece of equipment that we purchase that's over $5,000, so that's why that is 0. And then 600 is gonna be your dues and fees, so what do we pay to WHSAA? What do we pay to participate in a tournament? We have to pay to go to tournaments for some events. So if we look at the activities pie, so the overall budget is gonna be the $18,548,000. Of that budget, $465,959 is the activities. And then you can see the red is gonna outline the salaries and the benefits, the salaries, the orange is gonna outline the benefits, the yellow is gonna be more towards your officials, travel, cost, 400 is gonna be to your supplies, 600 to your dues and fees. So do you see how that's broken out of that slice? Okay. So then moving on, our year-to-date expenditures as of January 31st, this is not including February. So we have spent as of January 31st, $233,641.78. And then encumbered, we have $150,701.91 encumbered right now for coaches' salaries to pay out the remaining of our coaches' contracts, along with some supply purchases that we already have ordered, we're just waiting for it to arrive. And then remaining, we have $81,614.81. This is gonna pay for officials for basketball still, track, softball. We have the official fees for golf that we pay, but I think that's about it as far as that. Any new positions that we add, if we add additional coaching staff for golf or for softball or track, anything that we haven't already included in the budget, so that would be an expense coming out of there. Supplies, purchases, travel for food, if both of our teams make it to state basketball, that would come out of there. Hotels, dues for tournaments. I think that would be about it. And then, if we scroll down a little bit more, please. Next, I wanna talk a little bit about the custodial fund, the activity fund. These are purchases that are going to be by the students' activities that they've done fundraising for. So the board approved to spend $340,000 for the activities, to spend that on whatever they wish. Year-to-date expenses so far this year are $169,899. I did take out the Prairie View payments out of those, cause I felt like those were not our activities and not what you guys had approved when you approved the original budget, just so we're clear on that piece. But the Prairie View payments do come out of the activity fund, but they've been removed from this figure. Okay, go ahead and scroll down. Looking at prior years spent by the custodial fund, the activity fund, in 2020, we spent $378,128 in 21, $229,459, 22, $387,702, 23, $357,887, and like I had stated, so far, year to date, as of January 31st, we've spent $169,008.99. So that's gonna be all the fundraising money that they have spent, and how they've spent it on supplies, I don't have that breakdown. Are there
Very cool.
Are there
Thank
any
you.
questions?
Very good.
Yes.
Will you scroll back up, please? Okay, hold.
Okay.
So do you anticipate the 81,614 covering the grocery list?
There's so many unknowns with that.
Just what's there that you know of right
Well, I
now.
don't know a lot of them because I don't know whether or not both basketball teams are gonna make it to state, how many I would know if I had time today to look at the rest of the
Sorry,
results,
I just
but,
meant, without that, like track, just,
Is
Um,
81.6 enough?
I hope
That's
so.
the question.
I hope so, I don't think I can accurately tell you
Okay.
yes or
That's
no without all those unknowns. Sorry.
And then the other question, so we budgeted 465, but the 340 is just their fundraising fund.
Correct.
So
Yep,
all inclusive, we're over $700,000 for activities. What we budget for as a district, plus what they fundraise for.
Correct.
I think those are my only two.
Okay.
For now.
there any other questions? If not, feel free to reach out if they come to mind.
Thank
you, Judy. That was great.
And next up, Josh, come on, talk a little bit about the strategic plan meeting and maybe summarize that meeting and maybe next steps.
Alright, good evening. Well, the strategic plan committee met a few weeks ago. We have 15 members on our team. We got Mr. Weigel, myself, Mr. Waring, Mr. Schaffner, Mrs. Wilson. We have 2 classified staff, 2 board members. We have a Wheatland parent, a Glendale parent, and 2 community members. So it's a pretty good reflection of, we didn't fill out that whole list that I initially shared with you, but I think we got at least one person in every grouping there. Our meeting kind of focused on setting some norms for the group, just how we were gonna try to operate, what things we wanted to talk about. We talked a little bit about some historical information, and then we moved into our focus, and our focus is to report back to this board and set our recommendation for goals for strategic plan for the district starting in the next school year. Then we just need to kind of determine, what you guys will do is probably determine how long you want that to go. Usually 3 to 5 years. So that'll be kind of the information that we present to you, but we talked about academic goals. We talked a little bit about district procedures, and some of the committee felt like maybe that area might get a little deep into, they didn't need to know. They expect the school district to operate appropriately. They expect they wanna see happy employees, they want a positive business culture on that side of things. So they thought, kind of getting into some of the more day-to-day operations and procedures was kind of not their focus. And so we'll still continue to talk about that, but they really just want that positive culture, a safe place to learn. Those were a couple big items. So that's kind of where we are right now. We looked at a couple different templates for a district placemat versus a document where you could click on it and the information that you need is right there. If there were links to any data, that would be on there too. And then also just informing our stakeholders when things would be reviewed and reported on. That information will also be there, but it'd list the district vision, mission, and any goals we list all on one page, so it's right there. So our next meeting is March 4th. I'm just gathering some information, some data on measurable goals, and then again, just I've been kind of working on a template for that placemat, and just I'll bring that. By no means is this all me, but just kind of see what it might look like for platform. So, do you have any questions?
we just have really good input, especially from some of the parents. Kind of said we want our kids to be safe, we want them to learn. That should be the focus, so.
Alright, thank you, Mr. Brown.
Alright, board reports is next. Any committees of that from the board that anybody would like to share?
Yeah, other than just prior to this meeting, onboarding for new board members. Big
I'm
topic, so.
excited. So when we, during an election year and we get new board members on, how do we help them become ready to run the minute it hits? Cause there's a lot of information, so we're working on getting a package together for them. Good ideas, I'm excited.
Me too. There's a lot of room for improvement there, and I feel like we're on the right track. We're also talking about the recruitment process and getting the word out that there will probably be openings and that sort of thing, so I think this is all positive growth.
Any board member wanna talk about their adopted school? I met with Mrs. Brown and her group a couple weeks ago, very enlightening. They have a laundry list of stuff that they do, very enlightening, so.
I'm enjoying my middle school visits. There's a lot of learning going on there. And it is interesting to see the different classes and the different way teachers interact with them. There's a lot of variation. But it's been really positive, it's been encouraging, and I'm getting to know students and you know, they're sharing some thoughts like we should go out for you know, on their breaks and different things, you know, thinking that I can bring in some intel and some change, so.
Just like a middle schooler.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did we meet a policy committee? Policy committee, did we ever speak about that? So you might take a go through those, I don't know if anybody wants to be.
who's on policy? Me and Justin, or Sean was there too. Who wants to talk about policy committee? We met last Monday, which is Mr. Weigel.
I can share if you.
Yeah, go ahead.
It seemed like a long time ago.
Yeah, so originally we tried to come up with a good process to actually review all of our policies.
Yes.
We kind of set a goal that we wanted to do 1/5 of all the policies, so in 5 years, we'd have our eyes on every policy, that was kind of a goal we had. So we split up in subcommittees, and the subcommittees went through and went through each policy, reviewed it. They thought, yeah, this is great, or we don't need this anymore, or there's some revisions needed. We did use the Wyoming School Board Association to look at their sample and model policies if we had any questions. So we went out to subcommittees and we came back and kind of went through 1/5 of those, and those are what you're gonna see below in that policy evaluation when we click on that link. So we got a little over 1/5 because a couple were added as we went. We felt like we needed to do a couple other ones that needed to be changes, so we're on track to set our goal where 1/5 of the policies are gonna be in motion now to approve or amend or reject, right? That's the ones we don't need, so. That's right. Sounds good?
Thank you. Alright, so the policy evaluations, in our packet, we have all of those that John just talked about.
And Ryan, can you click on that link for us? Just to give everybody the policy for information,
Okay, where's the mouse? There's the mouse.
D1. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the policies that we went through and kind of what the next step would be. All of them go through this informational part first, and then some just have one reading after that, and then some have 2 readings. So major revisions are new, those are a little bit different. So that kind of gives you that list, and that was from our subgroups. Like I said, about 1/5 of those. We're gonna take March off, and then we're gonna hit the other 2 committees in April. So we'll get that all.
That's exciting, you know, that's been one of the frustrations that I've noticed, you know, being my years on the board, and I'm sure you've seen it more. Is this even ever going to, it's so big, our policies are so great that, you know, I'm glad we have a plan to tackle it.
Yeah.
So, because I did notice how the WSBA does have a service to help you tackle that. But I'm like, no, we got that, I'm so glad we can save that money.
Yeah, they'll do an audit for us, but I think we're doing that just eyes on each policy, read through those, if you have any questions, we try to address them, so. That's kind of the whole list. On the very bottom, there's a couple payroll policies that we felt needed to be changed because it talks about timesheets and we have electronic options now, we don't use timesheets across the board. So that was the additional ones in this first group.
And I'm not that Amanda.
Just saying.
The HR person.
I did blame for enough things, I'm not taking that one too.
So that's number one in the policy evaluation. Number two is the fundraising form. We talked a little bit about that in the work session, about maybe the need to revise that and just get a little more specifics in terms of how that's gonna go, what that's gonna be used for, maybe the balance of the actual account that they're looking to fundraise. And we also talked about the difference of maybe a donation that ends up being some kind of fundraiser, but it's a donation, so it doesn't really fit that form. So Jamie was gonna work on both of those, but that exhibit is there just to look at, that we're gonna revise just a little bit. So that's number two. And number three was just sent to us from our school attorney. It's just crossing out one line in our homeschooling policy. So if you wanna pull it up, Ryan. Should be number three. So there's just like one line they just wanted to cross out with the homeschool, so the two major. And we were sent this, and I don't know, when Heather talked to me about it, we tried to figure out where it came from, and it wasn't from our school attorney, just a suggestion. So sometimes they review the Wyoming School Board Association policies. If things change in statute or laws, they make recommendations to the school. So if we keep up to date on this, that'll help us long term too, right? We don't have to go back and say, hey, why is this different than the Wyoming School Board Association? If it's recommended by an attorney, we should probably look at that and then move forward. Nothing substantial, but I think it's just a way to keep going and not losing of the policy, right? We just keep that in the forefront, so.
Good.
That was the other one for just information.
So this is just information and then it'll come before the board
Yeah.
for our review and approval at that point. Alright, thank you. Now I believe we are on to our action items. And seeing no old business, we'll move on to new business. Which I need
Okay, Madam Chair,
Thank
I
you.
would move to move into executive session to discuss personnel and negotiations.
I'll second the motion.
Alright, I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor of moving into executive session signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No, sorry, everybody's in. Alright, let's go.
I have the sound off, still makes noises.
They stopped for a while, then realized it's, oh, you have to stop in 19 seconds, I'll take that off all the time.
That's your job, that's your job.
I was too close to them.
I turned
She was
on
never
the
that close.
sound so.
So she knew she had not done.
Whitmire, I just wanna slap like you were going to the road in March to SEO.
Nothing
Order,
They'll need to go
and
to.
with
They'll need to
item
go
number
to.
2. In our packet, approved personnel hiring, resignations and terminations. We all have the link on there to look at that.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve personnel hirings, resignations, and terminations.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Alright, any discussion on the hiring? Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the personnel hiring, resignation, and terminations, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Motion passes. Item number 3, the approval of the administrator contracts. Which we have in our
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the administrator contracts.
Alright,
I second the motion.
thank you. And a motion and a second to approve administrator contracts. Any questions, discussion? All those in favor of approving the administrator contracts, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? The ayes have it. Item 4, approve the bank depositories.
Madam Chairman, I move to approve the bank depositories.
Thank you, Mrs. Eller.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the bank information? Alright, all those in favor of approving the bank depositories of First State Bank, Platte Valley Bank, and Rolling Hills Bank, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Alright. Item 5, approve the new memorandum of understanding with Platte County Sheriff's Office for a full-time SRO.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Platte County Sheriff's Office for a full-time SRO.
Thank you.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion on this? I see we have our representatives here. Thank you, folks. Any discussion?
I can say a little bit that changes from our last one. It's gonna go to 3 years, the possibility of 3 years, that was their grant. And then there is a little bit of money that we need to put in as a district at $20,000, but it was written into our consolidated grant already, so we'll just get an invoice and we'll send them the money to have that be part of our agreement. So that was a change from the longevity in terms of 3 years and then a little bit of money from the school district. So, and David Smith is our acting SRO, he's here today with Christina. And Christina's gonna be more at Guernsey or Plateau, but if we need her for some reason, she would come here for us, or David needed to go to Guernsey, they could go back and forth, or maybe sometimes we might need 2, depending on the situation, so. We've worked out pretty good their schedules and how that kind of runs, they've been trying that out recently, so.
Super. Alright, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the new memorandum of understanding with the Platte County Sheriff's Office for the full-time SRO, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no? Ayes have it. Alright, and item 6, the federal budget amendment.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the federal budget amendment.
Alright, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Alright, any discussion? We have the overview in our packet.
I think the biggest thing to look at is the total budget adjustment for federal funds is 0, so Jamie's just moving some of those dollars around to meet where they should fit. But overall, there's no change.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you for that.
yeah, I was wondering about that.
It's just updating the designation.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any questions? Comments? Discussion? Alright,
Actually, I think this was something brought up by our old auditors a couple of years ago, something like that.
Yeah, they just like to
Yeah.
see that you update it as the year goes versus waiting till the very end. Once we get to the very end of our budget, we'll do one final one that will adjust everything if you overspend in a category. So we've allocated the funds through the federal, we're just updating the category of which we're actually spending the funds.
Thanks for the clarification.
thank you for that. Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor of approving the federal budget amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? Alright. Item 7, we're on to approving the cyber insurance coverage.
Okay, Madam Chair, I would move to approve the cyber insurance coverage.
Thank you,
I'll second that.
thank you. Alright, any discussion or questions on the cyber insurance?
So for clarification, this was it separate from the rest of the policy? Was that?
That was our choice,
Basically.
right, yeah, we had to
Right.
look at that, yeah. We had to do kind of a survey or provide information about some of our servers and I guess what else, right, like our.
So basically, we just had to provide them information on security practices, policies that we follow, what we actually house in-house, what we utilize in the cloud. It's no different than what we kind of did with Hub, it's just an additional rider, really.
And so part of it would be effective for 6 months up to July 1, and then the full 12 months would start after that.
Oh, okay.
So we've missed our renewal.
Because we switched,
Because we had to pay
that's,
for the 6 months, and
Right.
this is from July 1 through June 30th.
okay. All right, very good. Thank you for that
Which are
clarification.
the 4 options? Are we on?
Jim, you
I think we're looking at option 1 of the 18-month policy, so $1 million limit for 11,764 tree.
And I think what we try to do is match up that we currently have. Is that correct, Jamie? Like we try to match that up to what we currently have?
Correct.
Any further discussion on the cyber insurance? All those in favor of approving the cyber insurance coverage, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no? Okay. All right, we are on to item number 8. Approval of the policy IKF, which is the graduation requirements.
I'll make a motion to approve policy IKF, graduation requirements on first of 2 readings.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, any questions or discussions?
Just looking at the change.
This is the,
It was presented.
yeah, where it went from 28 to 26 credits because of the blue and gold medal. No change in the core requirements.
Right, it's the way it is.
Any questions or discussions? All right, all those in favor of approving policy IKF graduation requirements on first of 2 readings, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Okay. All right, item 9 is approve a contract with specialty counseling.
I would move to approve the contract with specialty counseling.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the contract? No discussion. Alright, all those in favor of approving the contract with specialty counseling, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? No? Okay. Alright, item number 10. Approve the food service bid for food and paper products.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the food service bid for food and paper products.
Fortune cookies. 200.
Those are good ones.
I just read it.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Alright, any questions? We have Marie here, if you have.
I guess one of the things that I would like to see if you're not getting it from somewhere else is just like basic, like, you know, like what I would see in my pantry, like 25 pounds of brown rice and, you know, basic, you know, not processed, but whole foods.
We do get the rice, we have flour, all our flour has to be, either, whole wheat, and white, we have to do, 51% whole grain everything.
Okay, good.
So we have the bulk items, the sugar, the flour, the rice. Our rice all has to be, brown, whole grain. Everything has to be a whole grain, basically 51%. So those are on the list.
I did see some whole grain, wheat, I thought, yeah, just like, you know, like whole chickens, you know, like that kind of basic kind of cooking.
So most all of our chicken comes through our USDA foods, which would be commodities. So our chicken, and it is generally already it's not processed, cause anything we get through there, we usually do all brown box, we don't do the process through USDA. And it is usually a pre-cooked product, we save by doing it that way. We do get raw ground beef, we get pre-cooked hamburger patties. One thing with doing the stuff without doing a lot of raw foods is it just helps us a lot with our cross-contamination. And so we let the processors handle that, and then, so we don't do any, at this point, we don't do any raw chicken. So, that's not something, we're not gonna serve a whole chicken. Our kids are gonna eat chicken drumsticks, they're gonna eat chicken tacos,
Right.
chicken nuggets, chicken tenders, but, I mean, we're not gonna serve like an 8-piece chicken. I mean, those products you have to, the breasts, to get the right amounts, the breasts have to basically be cut in four ways. A thigh is actually too much if you get the whole chicken or the 8-piece cuts, so.
Swan's Food Service, we don't have anymore, do we?
Okay, so Swans is actually Tyson Swans, it's the same thing, and so those are the brands on those, you're looking at the market basket there. And that's what those are the brands that we typically get, and so when you go out to bid, they want all of that, they want the manufacturer's number, they want, the company, and that way that it matches up, so we have to have all the nutrition on every item. And so to keep suppliers equal, you have to give them what you want. And then they either have to offer, if you look at towards the right hand side, they have to offer you either that item or a comparable item. So you're apples to apples, you know, when you're comparing their prices and stuff, so.
Good, that's good.
It's kind of overall, right, really like, it's the overall, you look at the overall list, you don't handpick and say, oh, we like Tyson here for $2 and over here, so it's like overall, you're trying to get that whole,
Yeah.
so which company kind
Who
of provides us
comes
the
in
best
best
bid
on
for the
everything.
whole thing, yeah.
And we're small enough that it's tough to get, you know, if we don't get a certain dollar amount, we pay shipping, and so it's hard to get trust split between different companies.
Sure.
We just, you know, we do better by getting everything from one. We do get produce through the Equality State Farms, which is a Wyoming-based company, and they do have a warehouse here in town, so we do most all our fresh produce through them, so.
Super, glad to hear that. Just I encourage you, yes, the head, you know, just keep reading on nutrition, you know, because there's just so much. I read so much, I'm so interested in nutrition and you know, there's certain foods that help children, people think, you know, like walnuts and those different things. So I just encourage you to keep digging into the latest information and what's really best for them to really focus on school. Thank you.
She's got a lot of restrictions too. I know I've gone in and looked at the menu extensively with her, and one minor adjustment throws the whole thing out of whack, and then we're out of compliance.
And we
So
do have,
the amount of restrictions she has is a lot.
it is huge, and we do have more restrictions coming. Hopefully either before fall for, not for another year, so.
Okay.
Because that's what makes it hard right now, especially there's a
To
lot of.
plan ahead for them.
Right, you know, because
You can't.
not all of those products will fall into that, so that'll make it tough, so.
So how, we would approve you to go out to bid, how many places do you go out to bid?
I think we're required to do 3, and that's typically what, and then we open it, open it, usually we do it, in the paper, and say that we're requesting proposals, and then, we send it, I make sure we have at least 3 sent. We have to, I mean, those are requirements that we have to send it out to at least 3, so. And we usually get 1 back, just saying. We do go out basically every 5 years, you can go out more often, but you go out and you accept it, and then they give you an option of rolling over for 4. So, if you're not happy, you can go out again, so, but.
Alright,
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all you do, and you're conscientious to save money.
any further questions or discussion? Alright, so all those in favor of approving the food service bid for food and paper products, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Alright, we are on to item 11. We have approved early graduation request.
I would move to approve the early graduation request.
Thank you.
I would second that.
Any questions?
Okay.
I love this. I love this, you
I
know,
don't think so, just for you to
Okay.
disapprove it. Yeah, somebody shows a plan.
I like that, a woman with a plan.
Okay, any questions of the school or Ms. Hedstrom? Alright, all those in favor to approve the early graduation request, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay. Alright. Excuse me. Item number 12, approve the school attorney to investigate and revise the real estate.
I would hope.
I just saw there's a little mistake where it says lot, and it should say add plat one, it's like AD, it should be an AD right there. Oh, sorry, I just didn't read that, so it should be an add instead of an A instead of a D.
So we'll make sure the motion is correct.
We'll get it right.
Well, Madam Chair, I would like to approve school attorney to investigate and revise real estate contract for the sale of the old Chugwater School to remove plat number 2 from the 3rd lot and add plat number 1 to that lot and contract.
Thank you for that motion.
I will second that.
Thank you. Alright, any discussion? Again, it's just cleaning up old real estate tile work that wasn't done properly. Alright, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the school attorney to investigate revised real estate contract for the sale of the old Chugwater School to remove plat 2 from the 3rd lot and add plat 1 to that lot and contract, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? You have it. Right, and looking ahead, we have our next work session, March 11th in Glendale at 6 p.m. and the board meeting will be at 7 p.m. on that same evening. Glendale on March the 11th.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?